everybody, Jeanell here from Wing Women Coaching. A lot of people ask me, why did you become a relationship coach? And why do you love working with men? Really great question. So I thought I would just make a quick video to answer that for those of you that are curious too. Why did I become a relationship coach? Well, I would say the first thing was that something that I'm passionate about. Relationships are all around us. They're in business, in our personal lives, and with ourselves. And it's so important to have a great quality of life, isn't it? And our relationships give us that experience. Number two, when I became a certified life coach, they asked us, like, what is the thing that you love talking about and love sharing about? And what is it that people come to you for? I was like, well, that's easy. People come to me asking me, how do I have your kind of marriage? How do I get that? For those of you that don't know me, I've been married for 15 years to the most incredible human being, the most sweetest, smartest, funniest, generous, talented, hot and sexy husband that anyone could ever have. And I'm so grateful for him. I feel like the luckiest girl in the world, and he's my happy place. I truly have the experience of someone having my back. And that's what I want for you and for everyone else. I know that my mission in this lifetime is to transform what it means to be married. And more importantly, to heal families. One of the things I've been noticing is that there are actually not a lot of married people in my life. More and more people are choosing to be single and focusing on their careers and making money. But money doesn't make us happy. It gives us nice stuff. But what's the point of having all the stuff if there's no one to enjoy it with? Right? And so I really encourage you guys, one of my favorite mottos that I live by is be the change you wish to see. Be the kind of person that is worthy of everything amazing. And you'll attract, and you will also, just the way you're being, just your presence, your essence, will have the people around you, including your partner, show up very differently. And if you want more affection, then give more affection. If you want more praise and acknowledgement and appreciation, then you be that for everybody in your life. And you will notice that things will start to shift around you. Mark my words. Another reason that I decided to become a relationship coach is for kids. I was talking to a client, and it's not so much about two people staying together. Really, for me, it's about the children and what is the impression that we leave on them? And what is their experience of life and relationships? And what do they learn from us in the way that we interact with each other? Are they watching two people who are respectful and loving and sweet and funny and playful? Or are they watching two people who judge and fight and not listen, argue, and cause each other pain? Sometimes we forget that kids watch everything. I was actually with a client, and he was sharing with me the problems that he was having in his relationship, in his marriage. There was no trust. There was no sex. There was no love. They have 2 kids, 4 and 8. And he said to me, what really annoys me or what really bothers me is when she argues with me in front of the kids. I make a request for us to go into another room, but she chooses just to have it all out in front of them And I'm worried about the impact of that on our kids. And I thought to myself, yeah, absolutely. I get it. And I really saw at that moment that just as just as much as women complain that their husbands don't listen, I would say almost as many men say the same thing about their wives. It's not just a guy thing anymore. We don't do well in listening to each other, especially when we're trying to be right about everything. Am I right? So, I want to create a world where divorce is no longer, that we choose love over being right every single day of the week, and that we are the role models for our children, how to have an incredible relationship, how to listen, how to appreciate, how to respect someone, even when we're disagreeing. And if this is you, I invite you to follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, or on YouTube. If you're having issues in your relationship, and it's not like your relationship has to be terrible, it can be great. And maybe you just want to up-level things. I invite you to follow me. And, I'm happy to share all of the amazing things that I see for myself in my life, in my day-to-day with my husband, as well as some of the common mistakes that my clients share with me and how to overcome them. Because I'm really committed that you have an extraordinary life, that you experience love for yourself and other people just the same, and that you love and accept yourself so that you can love and accept other people. So a lot of you know a little bit about my husband, but what I don't share a lot about is that I've actually been divorced. I'm Filipino, and in our culture, they start to bother you, or, the family starts to ask questions about, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? That's all it's about in our family. Oh, and karaoke and gyrating. But, even though I am Canadian, whenever I go home, that was always the question, is when are you going to get married and when are you going to have kids? And, my mom got married at 24. So, I had, like a lot of women, we have a timeline. We have a clock that's ticking. And I found myself around that age really starting to panic, thinking to myself, like, when am I going to find that right person? And I remember there was this phase in my life where I was dating continuously, trying to find the right mate for me. And I have to admit, my list of what I wanted in a man was pretty long and detailed. And I thought I would never find someone that would fit that list. And what I was also finding was, at that time, the men that I was attracting were men that were not really interested in long term. They just wanted to have fun with me. And so I met my ex, and he told me, I want the white picket fence, the dogs, the kids. He was really good looking, had a great job. His parents were wealthy. He's a very, very smart man. And so I thought, well, and he was also Catholic. So I was like, okay, well, I think I can make this work. We had a long engagement, I think about 3.5 years, and we got married. And one of the things that really was the first warning sign for me was, we went on our honeymoon. We went to Fiji. It was amazing, by the way. If you've never been to Fiji, I highly recommend it. Went to Fiji, and a week later we come home, and everything's different. He treats me different. He stopped going to church with me, stopped hanging out with my wanting to hang out with my family. And it was just almost like it was all an act, to bait me. And now that he had me as his wife, there was no need for any additional effort. And it's interesting because I've talked to a lot of people who have shared a very similar story to mine. So yeah, I felt duped. I felt like I actually didn't know the person I was getting married to. And I have to admit, there were times in there that I wasn't sure. And I remember us getting in a fight and calling my mom and in tears and saying to her, Mom, I don't know if he's the one for me. And I remember my mom just saying to me, you know, you're just getting cold feet. No one's perfect. And so I just, you know, left it. But in hindsight, hindsight's always 2020. But in hindsight, I see that, I should have listened to that gut feeling. I shouldn't have rushed into it. And when I really think about it, I did not think that I was worthy of the optimal partner. I thought that my expectations were too high and that I would never find someone that would fit that list. And so I settled. I settled into a relationship of mediocrity, of boredom, and just ordinary. And one thing you know about me is I am not ordinary. But I was so badly wanting just to start my family and to be in a relationship. And so, as you can tell, over time, things got worse and worse. And I started to become someone that I didn't know. And that's when I knew that there was something wrong. I couldn't even speak up for myself. I couldn't even say what it is that was on my mind because I was afraid of getting in trouble or him yelling at me. And this man had a very big voice and had a very bad temper. And so I was afraid. And so whenever I wanted to share that I was unhappy or anything like that, I would write it in a letter because I couldn't say it to his face. And slowly over time, I really started to get resentful. And what really sealed the deal for us is we got in a car accident. And, anything stressful or traumatic like that, whatever was already there is going to be magnified. And so the problems we were already having in our communication and also in the bedroom just got worse. And, through ICBC and unions and pain and suffering and unemployment or EI and physio and all those things, it was not great. And I remember lying in bed beside him one night. He was asleep, and I was staring at the ceiling, praying to God, thinking to myself, God, is this it? Is this the life that I'd been praying for, wishing for, blowing out candles for, throwing coins and wishing wells for, on stars and all of that stuff that we used to do as kids? Is this it? Is this really what you had planned for me? And I found myself lying beside him, trying so hard not to touch him. And I know that sounds terrible, but I was just so, dare I say, disgusted by the person by the person that was beside me. And when I look back at it, what I see is that who I was in that relationship didn't work. Who I was I was blaming him. I was making him bad and wrong for not being the kind of partner that I wanted. And, my expectations were something that was created from my childhood. Watching my parents, wash dishes together. They did everything together, traveled together, worked together. They had their own janitorial business. They really had each other's backs. And that's the kind of marriage I wanted. I wanted someone that I could do everything with, even chores. And, my partner did not grow up the same way I did. He had rich parents. His dad worked, and his mom was his dad worked, and his mom was a stay-at-home mom, and he had everything done for him. He didn't do chores. And so I really saw that, when we got married, that's what he expected of me. He expected me to take care of the house and at the same time work. And truth be told, at the time, I wasn't a great cook. I'm still not a great cook. My husband actually cooks. But there were all of these skills that I had to learn that I wasn't used to. And so it caused a lot of arguments because I didn't cook the right way. I didn't clean the right way, according to him. But he wasn't going to help me. He was just going to complain about it. And so that really didn't work for me. And so at the end, we were invited to take this course, this self-development course. And I was like, okay, perfect. We're going to go do this thing and we're going to get this thing solved. And he's going to realize what a jerk he's being to me. And it's kind of like, we're going to fix him. And what I really got from doing the course was that I was not being responsible, that I had been blaming him, that I had an opinion of him that he couldn't win at. And so in the end, I had to say to him, listen, you are actually really great, just the way you are. And it just doesn't work for me. And, I don't want to be with you anymore. This is not going to work. Now, what's distinct about that is that, I went into that conversation with love and humility and acceptance. And what ended up happening is we went to the courts together. We signed the papers together. We didn't have to get any lawyers involved. And after we went and signed the papers at the law courts, we went out for dinner. And he dropped me home. And I kissed him on the cheek. And I said to him, thank you. And good luck. And that was the last thing I said to him when I got out of the car. Now, I'm clear that that is extraordinary. Because I took responsibility for my jerkiness. And a lot of us don't want to admit when we're being jerks. We just want to be righteous and arrogant. So that's a little bit about me. Now you know why I do what I do. I've been through hell. I mean, obviously I gave you the PG version, the 3-minute version. And, maybe I'll share a little bit more about him later. But what I really want you to get is that we are responsible for the condition of our relationships. And it's so easy to put the blame over there with the other person. But as we all know, it takes two to tango. So before you consider leaving a relationship, I want you to pause and just really look to see where is it that I haven't done my job? What is it that I say I'm committed to? And where is it that I'm actually not being that? If you're committed to love and acceptance and understanding, is that who you're being every day? Probably not. Chances. But here's the thing. As your wing woman, my job is to be honest with you. My job is to show you what you don't see, the blind spots. My job is to say what nobody else wants to say or has the guts to say to your face. My job is not to be your friend. However, my job is to have you win, to have you have everything that you want in your life and get rid of everything else that's not that. If you want to know more about me or if I can help you, visit my website at jeanellgreene.com and book a call with me. I'd love to talk to you. Thank you so much for listening. Till next time, ciao.